W2AV Talk with Demetris Curry. Here's your gateway to discovering the formula to a more gratifying life with the accountability you need to start and stay energized, inspired, and on top. Author and wealth strategist Demetris Curry is a nationally leading voice and go-to authority on insurance and financial literacy. Got questions about your finances, relationships, healthy living, or professional life? W2AV talks about it all, along with tips to enhance your overall well-being. W2AV Talk with Demetris Curry.
Hello, everyone. This is Demetris Curry coming with you to Authors Unite segment, W2AV Talk, and we are so excited to have today's author, Mr. Michael Moore. You know, when we started talking about Authors Unite, we wanted to pull something together where we can get to know the author behind the book of work. And so when we had the chance to talk to Mr. Michael and ask if he would be a guest on this show, I was ecstatic that he said, yes, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about who I am as a person and what brought me to this place of putting all of this information onto the papers, into the books, and out into the market. So today I'm going to draw back and I'm going to bring out Mr. Michael Moore, and we're going to talk about who he is behind the author with Authors Unite segment today. Let's see here. Michael, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. And yourself?
I'm so excited to have you with us today. You know, we've been trying to do this for a minute.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's just astounding to be here. So I had the opportunity to look through a lot of things, and you and I have been friends for years. So this just feels like I'm just talking to my big brother. I mean, really, like, tell me what's going on with Michael today and where you are in your book of work. I've been looking at so much stuff that you have out there. What's coming out, what you got in there with Life Beyond Sunday, the significance of being a single person, singleness, woo, and so much more that you have started with your daily quotes and your commentary and your volumes 1 and 2. And I don't want to give it away. I just want you to tell us where you are and who is Michael Moore.
Well, you know, that is always a loaded question as it relates to who I am, because there's so many layers of me, and it's kind of complicated to really, you know, explain all of the layers. But I would first say that I'm a man of God. Number 2, I am a creative, I'm artistic, and I'm also an author, an entrepreneur. So there are, you know, pretty much a lot of things.
And you said it's not just one thing. You got so many hats that you wear, right?
So
many hats that you wear. You know, when you're working with different authors and they have other things in life that they do, and in your particular case, you are one of the most amazing photographers I have ever worked with. As a matter of fact, I'll say, let me see what Michael would say about that first. And you taught me different things like that lighting is not right, you know? So just with that alone, you know, your background and everything that you do is just amazing. Hats off to you for your expertise and your just perfection in everything that you touch. But let me ask you, when you first decided to be an author, was there anything in life or any stories or circumstances that brought you to that place where you felt like you needed to help somebody else do better?
You know, that is a very interesting question. I always knew in the back of my mind that I would be an author. I've even tried to write back in 2012. I still have the first book that I attempted to write, but you know, the only thing about that situation, it was not the time. You know, it was not the time. And so I remember sitting in church back in 2017, and God instantly dropped it in my spirit, the title, what it was going to be about, and just all of the above. And I knew from that moment, it was time for me to now write the book or books that God has given to me to write, because I had matured enough in my walk that now it's time for me to pour out.
Wow. Wow. And then you did this piece of God's mind on the matter. Ooh, baby. I was like, is he talking to me? And I love, the way you actually bring out the message and in such a way that everyone can understand, relate to, and say, sometimes when you're working with someone that's in motivation and spiritual, sometimes it can go over your head, you know what I mean? With so much of the scripture and things like that. And so when you break that down to say, hey, okay, let's break this down in layman's terms. Like, this is what this means, and this is how you can utilize it.
Right.
Let it be, a rhema word for you to be able to use it in your day to day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I try to write in a way where it's very easy to understand, that there's a simplicity to it, because it doesn't have to be difficult. And I don't like to use a whole lot of huge words where people can't understand, because it really takes away from the experience. But when you're reading something, it should have a flow to it. Right. And it should be, and I write, God graced me to write in such a revelatory way, where I have the ability to really bring revelation to whatever it is that I'm trying to convey, that causes people now to really understand, God's mind on the matter.
Yeah, I mean, you listen. You hurt some people's hearts. I was like, okay. but you know what? It's amazing that you have the opportunity to talk with someone, and they actually be as real with you as they possibly can be, and without it feeling like you're fussing at them.
Right.
Or have you thought about that thing? Have you even, gave it to some type of thinking on that thing? Have you thought about the pros and cons of that thing?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Well, how are you gonna make that up later on? You're gonna repent. You're gonna repent. You know what you're gonna do? All of that is just so part of it. All of that is so part of it. When I was working with my publishing, and we were talking about, digging deep into who you are, and sometimes revealing who you are as a person. When I was writing with Brighter Days Ahead, it was the hardest thing to be transparent, vulnerable, and say, I did it.
Right.
I went through that. Yes, I made some mistakes. But this is the way that you get over it or get through it, in prayer.
Right.
And making sure that you are listening to the word, and making sure that even when you do something bad or do something that you should not have done, you know how to come back from it.
Absolutely.
All of that. And you've done a magnificent job into bringing that to the forefront. Even with your volume 1 and volume 2 of your spiritual quotes and commentary, it allows people to, start thinking and say, that's a motivation, right?
Correct.
And having that daily motivation, which is what one of the things that I did as well, is daily motivation keeps it inside of you. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. And so it also helps you with the conversation of, having those crazy conversations per day when you start your day off with the right type of motivation.
Correct.
Absolutely. I am ecstatic about who Michael Moore is behind the scenes of authors and photography and things of that nature. Is there anything that you feel like you want to bring out next? What your next thought is? Tease the audience and tell them what you want to tell them next time.
As it relates to writing?
relating to writing and to Michael Moore as a whole, as a man, as a Black man, as a entrepreneur? Any areas that you want to share with them?
Well, right now, I'm preparing to do my third project with Created to Recover. And I think we're going to start filming the project next month. We were supposed to do our third project in 2020, but we all know what happened.
Yeah.
So now, I feel like now is the time to get back on that project and birth out the next project. And so I'm looking forward to that. In addition to that, I'm working on my next book, which is Spiritual Quotes and Commentary, Volume 3. I have been writing on that since November. And so I've been going through that process because I try to always remind myself as a writer to enjoy the process and not try to hurry the process, but really just, enjoy that journey, because it is a journey when you're writing, especially when you're writing something that is spirit-led. You want to write it in the right spirit, and you want to, hear from God and bring as much clarity from Him as possible, so that you can convey to the people, so that they can get their deliverance, healing, understanding, breakthrough that they need through that writing.
Yes. And what you're saying, that you brought up a very valid point of, making sure you bring it all out. Mm-hmm. And I ask myself this question all the time. When you look in the mirror naked, are you okay with what you see? Now I'm just being physically now. But when you pull it all off, you know what I mean? Because we're business owners, right?
Right.
We are, bosses. We have other people that we employ. We have people that we contract. We have, we're mothers, we're fathers, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're uncles. When we pull it all off and you're looking in the mirror, eyes all bugged, right? Are you okay with who you are and what you see? And what areas do you need to change? One of the things that, and I mess with you when I talk about, God's mind on that. I mess with you about that because one of the things that I learned early on is learning how to be okay with self. And also being all right with not everyone's going to understand who you are because it wasn't given to them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It wasn't given to them. And God gives you a purpose that the next person may not understand because it wasn't embodied into them. God has a way of putting things inside your spirit, man, to tell you exactly where you need to be and where you need to go and how you need to get there. And it may not be a traditional way of getting there, but the next person in line that didn't get that vision wasn't given that task.
Right.
Don't get me started now. You know my mom and pastor. Don't start. You know what I'm saying? Right.
I get it.
And that's why I messaged you about that book, because it reminded me of some of the thoughts that I had in reading the book of, wow, are you okay with who you are, where you are? Have you prayed about where you want to be? And is it in line with where you need to be?
Right. And if that thing that you're trying to do, is it in alignment with what God is saying for you?
Exactly.
That's important.
Exactly. Are you in line with where you're supposed to be? Me as a person behind the scenes, and I had someone ask me this question the other day. It's like, D, are you okay with you? And I had to stop and pause for a minute and say, am I okay with me? Am I okay with who I am and who I am and what I am and whom's I am? I'm absolutely okay with that. Because we're all evolving. Right. We're all evolving. We all have challenges. We all have things that God is still growing. And we're in a growing season. We're always in a growing season, right? So what you thought was your top growth in 2005 is definitely not where you are now. You know what I mean? So I'm imperfect, but I'm perfectly imperfect. You see what I'm saying? And just allow God to just do what he has to do in that. I told another author, Miss Beverly Jones Durr, she has her book called Perfectly Imperfect. I told her, I said, you know what? You hit me hard with that.
Yeah.
Perfectly Imperfect, because it makes so much sense. Yeah, it does. It makes so much sense. I'm just honored that we had a chance to dig deeper into Michael Moore today, and to talk more about, where this all began for you.
Yeah, it is a very long journey. It's a very long journey. And, everything that I write about, I had to walk it all out. So it's not something that I was just writing from, intellect or anything of that nature. It has really been my life that I had to walk out, from the moment I even knew I existed all the way up to this moment. So every book is an experience, and every book is the truth of God, and just knowing that if you walk out these things according to the way God said, then you're going to have, all of us will have the right results. But once we get to that point where we want to just, dismantle everything, that God has put in place, then, the success that we have will be momentary, very quick. It will not last. And so I have learned to just do it the easy way. And that way is God way, because that way is going to bring me success every single time.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so very much for being here with us today and giving us the opportunity to just dig into who you are and your wonderfulness and your transparency. Okay. Sometimes you just don't get the opportunity to say thank you. And then I appreciate you, and I'm excited for you. And I try to make sure I do that each and every time I get a chance to speak with another person that is doing wonderful things in their lives or striving to do wonderful things in their lives, because we all need that encouragement, right? So want to say thank you so very much for all the wonderful pieces of work you put out there, not just on the book side, but also as a photographer. You've captured some moments.
Yeah.
You've captured some true moments. Yeah. And so we have some things that's coming out in the future that you've done for me recently. So I'm excited to expose that in the days to come. I can't talk about it right now. But definitely want to be able to give you your accolades on that as well, because now you are an artistic person, and I am too. So, it was like you can always notice the art in someone when you can see that shine in them. So I'm so excited for you. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on the show.
You are welcome. You are welcome. And thank you so much, the audience, for listening as well. So if you have not had the opportunity to see Authors Unite, W2AV Talk, make sure you listen in on this full interview with Mr. Michael Moore and others to come. We have so much more to share. We want to know who the author is behind the scenes of their book of work. Tell us more about you and your transparency. It will only help someone. It will only help the next person that's reading your book of work, that is also wanting to be more like they need to be, and need that inspiration and need that guidance, and even maybe some education along the way that you can offer. So we're thankful for all of our authors, and especially for our author today, Mr. Michael Moore. Talk to you soon on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to W2AV Talk with author and wealth strategist Demetris Curry. Connect with Demetris at demetriscurry.com and subscribe to the Demetris Curry YouTube channel today.